What if the strange nightmares inside your head were not dreams at all, but memories of who you really are? The movie begins inside what looks like an ordinary high school, but something feels completely off. Students move through their daily routines, teachers continue their lessons, and everything appears normal on the surface. Yet beneath this peaceful environment, one student is fighting a battle no one else can see. His name is David. During class, David suddenly experiences another violent episode. His vision blurs, his breathing becomes heavy, and disturbing flashes invade his mind. He sees intense combat, destruction, and impossible movements that no normal human should be capable of. These images feel terrifyingly real, like fragments of a hidden life buried deep inside his memory. Before he can fully process what is happening, David loses control. His body reacts with explosive force, and within seconds, the classroom turns into chaos. Students panic as David displays incredible physical abilities far beyond normal human limits. His speed, strength, and reflexes seem almost supernatural. Teachers rush to contain the situation, but instead of helping him like ordinary school staff would, they respond with suspicious precision. Their actions feel trained, tactical, almost military. That is the first major clue that this school may not be a school at all. After the incident, David tries to calm himself, but the fear inside him keeps growing. These blackouts are becoming more frequent, and every episode reveals pieces of something deeply disturbing hidden inside his past. Why does he know how to fight like a trained soldier? Why do these violent memories feel so familiar? And why does everyone around him seem to know more about him than he knows about himself? David's closest friends notice that something is seriously wrong. They care about him, but even they cannot understand the terrifying transformation happening right in front of them. Meanwhile, hidden observers continue monitoring David's condition carefully, as if they have been waiting for this exact moment. Whatever is happening to him, it was expected. As David struggles to hold on to reality, one terrifying truth slowly begins to emerge. His powers are not an accident, his nightmares are not imagination, and his life has been built on a lie. Desperate for answers, David begins digging deeper into the terrifying gaps in his memory. The more he tries to understand his blackouts, the more unstable his reality becomes. Simple moments trigger violent flashes inside his mind. A hallway suddenly transforms into a battlefield. Ordinary sounds become echoes of combat. Faces around him blur together with images of strangers he somehow recognizes. It feels like two different lives are colliding inside his head. Unable to trust his own memories, David turns to his closest friends for support. They know something is seriously wrong, and for the first time, David admits how scared he really is. He tells them about the visions, the fighting, the destruction, the impossible skills that appear whenever he loses control. But even as he speaks, another disturbing detail becomes impossible to ignore. The staff at school are watching him constantly. Teachers appear wherever he goes. Hallways suddenly feel monitored. Private conversations never seem private. It is as if David is living inside a controlled environment designed to study him. Then everything changes. While trying to escape another overwhelming episode, David is confronted by figures who move with the same unnatural precision seen in his visions. These are not normal authority figures. They fight like professionals. Fast, efficient, brutal. Instinct takes over. Without thinking, David responds with combat abilities that shock even himself. Every movement feels automatic, like his body remembers training his mind has forgotten. He dodges attacks before they happen, counters with flawless precision, and moves like someone built for war. His friends witness everything. Now there is no denying the truth. David is far more dangerous than anyone realized. During the chaos, David catches another glimpse of something hidden beneath the surface of this fake reality. Locked doors, restricted areas, security beyond anything a school should have. This place is hiding something massive, and somehow David is connected to all of it. As fear turns into determination, he makes a choice. Instead of running from the truth, he is going to uncover it himself. Because whatever secret these people are protecting, it begins with him. Determined to uncover the truth, David stops acting like a confused student and starts thinking like the fighter his instincts keep revealing. With his friends close behind, he begins investigating the hidden parts of the facility disguised as a school. The deeper they go, the less this place resembles an ordinary campus. Restricted hallways stretch beneath the building. Security systems guard sealed entrances. Surveillance cameras track every movement. And behind locked doors lies advanced technology no school should ever possess. This is not an educational institution. It is a containment center. Before David can fully process that discovery, armed personnel suddenly intercept them. There is no warning, no negotiation, only force. A brutal fight erupts instantly. But this time David is different. He is no longer reacting in panic. He is adapting. Every second of combat unlocks more of whatever has been buried inside him. His movements become sharper, faster, and more controlled. He fights with terrifying efficiency, overpowering trained opponents who should have been impossible to defeat. Even David is beginning to fear what he is capable of. Then, during the escape, he discovers something even more disturbing. Files, recorded observations, psychological reports, combat analysis, all centered on him. David realizes he has been monitored for far longer than he imagined. He is not a random student having mental breakdowns. He is the subject of an experiment, and the people running this facility have been waiting for his abilities to fully awaken. As the truth starts coming together, fragments of memory hit harder than ever before. Training sessions, painful tests, commands shouted by unknown voices, a life shaped for combat. David finally understands the horrifying reality. His powers were engineered. Someone made him this way. But before he can learn who is responsible, the facility launches a full lockdown. Alarms scream through the halls. Steel barriers seal every exit. Elite operatives move in. What started as a search for answers has now become a fight for survival. And David is trapped at the center of it all. With the entire facility now in lockdown, David and his friends are forced into a desperate escape. Red emergency lights flood the corridors as armed operatives close in from every direction. Steel doors slam shut behind them, cutting off every easy path out. The school's disguise is completely gone now. This place is transformed into exactly what it always was, a prison. As panic spreads among his friends, David stays focused. Something inside him is changing fast. The fear that once controlled him is being replaced by sharp instinct and combat awareness. It is almost like his true self is finally waking up. Using fragments of memory and pure survival instinct, David guides the group through hidden sections of the complex. Along the way, they uncover even more evidence revealing the terrifying scale of the experiment. Rows of classified data, biological research, enhanced human testing, subjects being modified for combat performance, and at the center of everything, David. He was never meant to live a normal life. He was created for something far bigger. Then comes another devastating breakthrough. David finally learns that the violent visions haunting his mind are not just memories from training. They are memories of escape attempts. He has tried to break free before, more than once. Each time he was captured, his memory was reset, and the experiment started again. The truth hits harder than any physical attack. Everything he believed about his identity has been manufactured. Even his sense of freedom was fake. Before the group can react, elite security forces corner them inside one of the lower research chambers. There is nowhere left to run. A massive fight explodes. This battle is fiercer than anything before. David fights with incredible precision, protecting his friends while taking down wave after wave of trained soldiers. But the enemy has one major advantage. They know exactly what David is capable of, because they built him. And just when survival feels impossible, David comes face to face with someone who may hold the final answers behind his existence. As the fighting finally slows, David finds himself standing face to face with one of the people behind the entire operation. This mysterious figure knows exactly who David is. More importantly, he knows what David was designed to become. Instead of attacking immediately, the man reveals a truth far more disturbing than David expected. David is not simply an experiment. He is part of a next-generation military project created to engineer enhanced human soldiers, stronger bodies, faster reflexes, advanced combat instincts, living weapons built for war. David was one of the most successful subjects ever created, but unlike the others, something unexpected happened. He developed independence, free will, a mind capable of resisting control. That made him dangerous. According to the scientist, the fake school environment was never about education or rehabilitation. It was a long-term simulation, a controlled reality built to monitor whether David's mind could remain stable while his combat programming evolved. Every friendship, every classroom, every normal day, all of it was part of the system. David's anger explodes. Everything he cared about now feels manipulated. But before he can process the emotional weight of that betrayal, the situation gets even worse. The scientist warns him that his awakening has triggered a larger security response. David is no longer being observed. Now he is being terminated. Moments later, heavily armed tactical forces storm the chamber with direct orders to eliminate him. A violent battle erupts once again. Only this time, David fights with complete awareness of who he is. There's no hesitation left. His movements become faster than ever, more aggressive, more precise. He tears through enemy forces with overwhelming power, fully embracing the abilities he once feared. But even with his strength, escaping the facility remains nearly impossible. The building is sealed, his friends are exhausted, and stronger enemies are still coming. As hope begins to fade, David realizes there may be only one way out. Stop running, take control, and bring the entire system down himself. Realizing escape is impossible unless the entire facility collapses, David shifts from survival mode into full counterattack. For the first time since uncovering the truth, he is no longer reacting to the system. He is going after it. Using information stolen from the research chambers, David locates the operational core controlling security, surveillance, and lockdown protocols across the complex. If they can reach that central hub, they might disable the prison from the inside. But getting there means crossing the most heavily defended part of the facility. As David leads his friends deeper underground, the environment becomes even more disturbing. These lower levels are nothing like the fake school above. Cold industrial corridors replace classrooms. Weaponized labs replace lecture halls. Containment chambers line the walls. Inside them are signs that David was never the only subject. Other experiments existed here too. Some failed, some disappeared, and some may have escaped. The horrifying discovery confirms just how massive this program really is. Meanwhile, security forces prepare their strongest response yet. Automated defenses activate. Elite combat teams mobilize. Every route toward the control center turns into a war zone. What follows is one of the movie's most intense action sequences. David fights through relentless waves of enemies while protecting his friends from every angle. His abilities now feel almost unstoppable. He predicts attacks instantly, moves with impossible speed, and hits with devastating precision. Yet the emotional pressure is becoming just as dangerous as the physical battle. His friends are terrified. The person they trusted is starting to look less human with every fight. David notices it too. The more power he uses, the harder it becomes to hold on to the version of himself he wants to remain. Then just as they finally reach the central control sector, disaster strikes. A direct attack separates David from the others. Blast doors slam shut between them. For the first time since the lockdown began, David is completely alone, and waiting for him on the other side is an opponent far deadlier than ordinary soldiers, someone engineered to match his power. Trapped behind sealed blast doors, David is cut off from his friends and forced into the most dangerous confrontation of his life. The enemy waiting for him is unlike anyone he has faced before. This is not another security soldier, not another tactical unit. Standing across from David is another enhanced subject. Someone created by the same program, someone who understands exactly how David fights. The moment the battle begins, the difference is clear. For the first time, David is facing an opponent who can match his speed, counter his attacks, and predict his movements with terrifying accuracy. Every strike is answered, every dodge is mirrored. It feels less like fighting an enemy, and more like fighting a darker version of himself. The brutal clash tears through the control sector, metal walls buckle under impact, glass shatters, warning alarms scream through the chamber as two engineered weapons push each other beyond human limits. But this fight is not only physical, it becomes psychological. During the confrontation, David learned something even more disturbing about the enhanced program. The other subject remained loyal, obedient, controlled, everything David was supposed to become. To the people running this facility, David represents failure. Free will was never part of the design. Choice was never allowed. That realization ignites something powerful inside him. David understands the true battle is bigger than survival, bigger than escape. This is about proving he is more than what they created. Using everything he has learned from instinct, memory, emotion, and raw determination, David changes the way he fights. Less like a programmed weapon, more like himself. That unpredictability becomes his greatest advantage. After an exhausting and savage exchange, David finally overpowers his opponent. But victory comes at a cost. The battle leaves the entire control sector critically damaged. Systems begin failing everywhere. Power fluctuates. Containment locks malfunction. Emergency protocols spiral out of control. The whole facility is starting to break apart. And somewhere beyond the collapsing system, David can hear his friends calling for help. With the control sector collapsing around him, David forces himself back onto his feet, despite the brutal damage from the fight. Sparks rain from broken machinery, emergency sirens echo through the facility. Entire systems begin shutting down one after another. What was once a perfectly controlled prison is falling into chaos. But David has no time to focus on victory. His friends are still trapped somewhere inside. Following their voices through the failing corridors, David pushes through collapsing sections of the underground complex. Without central control, security systems are malfunctioning everywhere. Locked doors suddenly open. Containment chambers release. Hidden experiments are exposed. The destruction is freeing far more than just David. When he finally reunites with his friends, relief lasts only seconds. A terrifying new problem emerges. With the facility losing stability, the entire structure is entering emergency purge mode. That means total elimination. The system is preparing to destroy everything inside, including all survivors, to erase evidence of the program. Now, escape is no longer just important, it is urgent. Working together, the group races toward possible exits, while the complex tears itself apart around them. Explosions ripple through lower levels. Hallways collapse behind them. Fire spreads through damaged research sectors. For the first time since this nightmare began, David is not leading through confusion. He is leading with purpose. His friends trust him completely now, even after witnessing everything he can do. That loyalty reminds David of something the facility could never engineer. Real connection, real choice, real humanity. But just as freedom feels close, final security barriers block their path to the surface. One last system still controls the exit routes, and activating them manually will require someone to stay behind. The meaning hits everyone instantly. This may be a sacrifice mission. David looks at his friends, the only real part of the false life he was given, and makes his decision without hesitation. If someone has to stay behind, it will be him. Ignoring every protest from his friends, David rushes toward the manual override station as the facility continues collapsing around them. This is the final checkpoint between survival and total destruction. If the exit system is not activated in time, no one is getting out alive. Smoke fills the corridors. Metal groans under structural failure. Explosions shake the underground complex with increasing force. Every second matters now. David reaches the override controls while his friends are forced toward the escape route. The emotional weight of the moment hits harder than any fight he has survived. For so long, David questioned whether anything in his life was real. Now, he finally has his answer. These friendships are real. This choice is real. And for the first time, his future belongs to him alone. As he begins unlocking the final barriers, remaining security forces launch one last, desperate attack. Even with the facility dying around them, the system still wants him eliminated. A savage final battle erupts inside the collapsing control chamber. David fights through pain, exhaustion, and overwhelming odds. His body is reaching its limit, but sheer determination keeps him moving. Every strike buys more time. Every second brings his friends closer to freedom. At last, the override sequence completes. Surface exits unlock. Escape routes open. His friends finally have a chance to survive. But David's own path out is disappearing fast. Falling debris crushes sections of the chamber. Fire blocks major corridors. The facility begins caving in around him. Over the communication system, his friends beg him to come back. David turns toward the collapsing hallway, knowing the odds against him. Then, with one final burst of strength, he runs straight into the destruction, inward, the ground itself shaking from the destruction below. But there is one problem. David is not with them. They watch in fear, waiting for any sign that he made it out. Back inside, David reaches what looks like the final stretch toward the exit. Light, fresh air, freedom, just within reach. But before he can escape, one last obstacle stands in his way. A final security system activates automatically. Even in its dying state, the facility refuses to let him go. Weapons deploy, barriers shift. The system launches one final attempt to stop him. Exhausted, injured, and running out of time, David prepares for one last fight. This is not just about survival anymore. This is about proving that he is not a product, not a weapon, not an experiment. With everything he has left, David charges forward, breaking through the final defenses with raw force and unstoppable will. And in the very last moment, he makes it through. Just as the entire facility collapses behind him in a massive explosion, David emerges from the destruction just moments after the hidden facility is completely consumed by collapse. Behind him, flames rise into the sky. Years of experiments, control, manipulation, all buried beneath the wreckage. For the first time in his life, David stands outside without walls around him. No surveillance, no fake classrooms, no system deciding who he is supposed to be. His friends rush toward him in complete relief, overwhelmed that he actually survived. After everything they have witnessed, the lies, the fighting, the horrifying truth, they are finally free. But even in this moment of victory, David is not at peace, because freedom now comes with a terrifying question. What happens next? The facility may be gone, but the truth it revealed cannot be erased. David is still enhanced, still dangerous, still connected to a military program capable of creating human weapons. And organizations powerful enough to build something like that do not simply disappear overnight. As emergency forces begin approaching the destroyed site from a distance, David looks toward the horizon, processing everything he has lost. His old identity is gone. The normal life he believed in never truly existed. Now he must decide who he wants to become without anyone controlling that choice. Weapon, survivor, or something entirely new. The movie closes on David leaving the ruins behind with his friends, stepping into an uncertain future where, for the first time, the path ahead belongs to him. But just before the story ends, the film delivers one final unsettling reveal. In a hidden remote location, surviving members connected to the Enhancement Program Review recovered data from the destroyed facility. David's escape was recorded, his evolution was documented, and instead of seeing failure, they see potential. The project is far from over. David was only the beginning, and that is Kill Order, a sci-fi action thriller about identity, control, and fighting to become your own person in a world that tried to program your destiny.